Hey there! Welcome back to Project Falcon. In the first video, we used the bash tool to block out the crawler's body and frame, then used the mirror tool to avoid repeating a bunch of work. In this video, we'll add an engine and wheels while learning how to duplicate, group, and combine parts to keep things organized. Our original mantra still holds though: big shapes first, details later. Let's start with the engine. Open the part browser and search for engine. There are a bunch of good options in here, but to differentiate our crawler from the starter, let's use a non-turbine version. Instead of immediately putting it into position on the crawler though, I'm going to set it on the grid and add some details, sometimes known as greebles. The first thing I'm going to do is frame the part I'm working on. Then it's just a matter of dragging in some parts and sticking them to the engine. So far, I like where this is going, but now I want to add some bolts around the perimeter. Rather than dragging a bolt in and shrinking it down like 24 times though, I can be clever and just alt-drag one bolt to duplicate it over and over. Actually, there's a way to be even more clever about this. Notice how the surface of this engine has several repeating slopes? Let's take a set of bolts on each of them and use Ctrl-G to group them. Grouping parts allows you to select and manipulate the entire group as a whole, which means I can now duplicate entire groups of bolts. Once I've bolted one side of my engine, I can group all those bolts together, then use the mirror tool to mirror them to the other side. Now that my engine is done, I can take all the parts and group them all together. Notice that the anchor of my new group is the same as the last part I selected before grouping. Use this knowledge strategically to define how the engine will snap and align when dragged. A simple rule is, group parts when they belong together, but you may still want to edit them later. To add wheels to our crawler, I'll just search for the term wheel. This brings up a bunch of individual wheel components, but I like the look of some of these more detailed wheel assemblies, so I'll bring one of those in. If I select it, notice there's a button here to ungroup them. Some parts in the part browser are already made of groups of simpler parts. By ungrouping it, I can move its individual subparts around or swap specific parts out for whatever I want to customize. Then I can just regroup everything again and mirror the entire wheel to the other side before duplicating and scaling one more for the rear. Here's a neat little trick. So far we've been building our bash strictly by adding parts on top of other parts. However, you can also subtract parts as well using the combine tool. To show you what I mean, let's take a simple smoothed cube and put it alongside the front axle. Then I'll use the bash tool to push it in just a little bit. Now I can select it and go to the combine tool. I'll then select the part I want to combine it with, and by default, this will remove the first part from the second part, creating a recess. Using this technique, you can basically turn any part into a stamp or cutter for customizing other parts. You can also use the combine tool's add mode to merge two parts together, similar to grouping. Be careful though, unlike grouping, you won't be able to separate the two parts again later. Now take a step back and check the full crawler. Ask yourself, does the engine feel connected to the frame? Do the wheels feel balanced? Does the crawler look heavy enough to move across rough terrain? This is also a good time to clean up the design. Group parts that still need to move together. Combine sections that feel finished, and delete any extra pieces you no longer need. Before moving on, go to Bash, Save to keep your work safe. By the end of this video, you should have an engine, a wheel setup, and a better understanding of how to group, ungroup, combine, and mirror work together. In the final video, we'll add finishing details, use cutting workflows, clean up the design, and get it ready for export.